Look at your hand. The skin, the ridges of your fingerprint, that particular curve of your thumbnail. This is yours, unmistakably, specifically, irreplaceably you. Now consider this. The hand you are looking at did not exist 7 years ago. Not in any meaningful biological sense. The cells that compose your skin, your muscle, your bone, they have been replaced, quietly, systematically, without your permission. Your body dismantles and rebuilds itself on a rolling schedule most people are never told about. Your skeleton replaces itself entirely every decade. The person who sat at your childhood desk no longer exists, cellularly speaking. You have already died many times, in slow motion, while continuing to believe you are the same. But that is the smallest version of this story. Every night you vanish. Not merely rest, not merely pause. Somewhere between the moment your eyes close and the moment they open, the version of you that was thinking, worrying about tomorrow, replaying this morning, feeling the weight of this particular day, that version ceases to experience anything at all. Neuroscientists have confirmed that in the deepest stages of sleep, the brain's default mode network, the system associated with the sense of self, falls nearly silent. There is no observer watching the darkness. There is simply nothing. And then in the morning, something reconstitutes. Memory floods back. Personality reasserts itself. A person wakes, certain of their own continuity, certain of who they are. But here's the question neuroscience cannot currently answer. Is the person who wakes the same person who went to sleep? We do not know. Not the same body, not even the same memories. Sleep actively edits them, consolidates some, discards others. But the same experiential entity, the same stream of consciousness. What we do know is this. If you have lived 30 years and slept through a third of them, you have experienced roughly 10 years of nothingness, 10 years of the self simply not being there, 10 years of small deaths seamlessly disguised as rest. And each morning you woke as if no gap had occurred at all. In 1957, a doctoral student at Princeton named Hugh Everett proposed something that should have made headlines and instead spent decades buried in footnotes. His idea was this. When a quantum particle reaches a fork, when it could go one of several ways, the universe does not choose. It splits. Every possible outcome occurs. Every branch exists. The particle that went left and the particle that went right are both real in parallel universes that never intersect again. This is the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. It is not fringe. It is taken seriously by a significant portion of the physics community. And if it is correct, then every moment of your existence has been accompanied by the silent creation of copies. Versions of you who made a slightly different choice, whose quantum particles landed slightly differently, whose lives diverged at microscopic forks you never knew existed. The version of you who will finish this sentence exists alongside versions who stopped reading 3 paragraphs ago. All of them equally real. All of them equally certain they are the original. All of them say, I'm the real one. In 1890, the mathematician Henri Poincaré proved something that has never been widely absorbed. He proved that any closed physical system with finite energy, given enough time, will return to a state arbitrarily close to its original configuration. Everything that has ever happened will eventually happen again. The specific configuration of atoms, energy states, and electrochemical signals that currently constitutes your experience of reading this sentence. That configuration has a non-zero probability of recurring, not as a copy, not as a simulation, as a physical material recurrence of exactly the same state. The timescales are incomprehensible, not billions of years, something on the order of 10 to the power of 10 to the power of 31. A number so vast it makes the current age of the universe look like rounding error. But in a universe with no endpoint, time is not a finite resource. If the universe simply continues, then this recurrence is not just possible, it is guaranteed. Friedrich Nietzsche encountered this idea before the physics existed, and it broke something open in him. He called it the eternal return. He said it was the heaviest thought a human being could carry. Because if every moment recurs infinitely, then every choice, every fear, every piece of suffering you have ever endured, you will endure again, infinitely. He asked, could you live in a way that you would want to relive it exactly forever? There is a law in physics that functions less like a rule and more like a wall, the conservation of energy. The total energy of a closed system does not increase or decrease. It transforms. It cannot disappear. This means that you, The energy currently organized into the pattern called you cannot be destroyed. Not truly. When you die, the energy that constitutes you will disperse into heat, into chemistry, into soil, into water, into the constituent atoms of future stars. There is a carbon atom currently in your left hand that was forged in the nuclear furnace of a star that died before our sun was born. Trace it forward far enough, and it will be in a blade of grass, then an insect, then an ocean, then forms we cannot imagine. The matter that is you has been countless other things. It will be countless things again. You are a temporary pattern imposed on matter that is eternal. Something is happening right now that is worth pausing on. Light is entering your eyes. Your brain is decoding symbols into language and language into thought. Somewhere in the electrical cascade currently moving through your neural networks, there is a process that, from the inside, feels like understanding. It feels like being here. This is occurring in a universe that had no obligation to permit it. Consciousness is not required by physics. There is no law that demands any arrangement of matter should have an inside view, should feel anything, should experience the particular weight of existing. And yet, you have already died in the cellular sense many times. You die every night in the gap of sleep. You die in the micropauses between thoughts. Some interpretations of physics suggest you are dying and being replaced with every passing instant. Every collapsed quantum state generating a new branch, a new version, a new you. And in some vast, unimaginable sweep of time, the precise configuration of matter and energy that currently is you will recur exactly, atom for atom, in a moment indistinguishable from this one. None of this resolves anything. None of it tells you how to live. But perhaps that is not what it is for. Perhaps it is simply an invitation to hold this moment with a little less certainty about what it is, and a little more wonder at the fact that it is at all. The universe is 14 billion years old. You are here for an instant. You have already died infinite times. And right now, you are reading this sentence. That is not nothing. That is everything.